please welcome your chair for track 2, Maddie Whalen-Solomon.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Maddie, and I'm going to be the co-chair of track 2. I'm delighted to be here. And to get us started, we have a wonderful session from Miss Céline Millinder. She's going to be talking about some of the work that she's doing with Save the Children. The session is called Engaging a Global Organization with Digital Asset Management. If this is not the session that you're looking for and you are hoping to get to automation and integration at the heart of UFI, please go back to the agenda and click on track 1. We're going to start, and I'm reminding you that please send in your questions over on the Q&A box at any time during the session, and we'll have a little chat afterwards. So without further ado, please welcome Céline Millinder.
Hi, Maddie. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Maddie. I'm really glad to be here with everyone. And today I'm going to be talking about engaging a global organization with DAM. So my name is Céline, and I am the Global Digital Asset Manager at Save the Children. And most of you will probably know about the organization. And let me just share my presentation. So most of you will probably know about Save the Children. It is a global organization that champions the rights of all children. The organization is made up of Save the Children International and 30 members. And the organization operates in 117 countries. The organization responds to major emergencies, delivers innovative programs, and it ensures that children's voices are heard through the organization, through the organization's campaigning to build a better future for and with children. And one of the most effective ways of creating change for children is to involve them as partners in our communication work, empowering them to share stories and highlight their needs in creating change. Now, you can imagine the complexity both in the amount of content that comes in and where it comes from. Storytelling is at the heart of our operations. And I'd like you to just sit back and think about when you were a child, where did you get your books? Because in Ethiopia, during the pandemic last year, this is how the children got their books.
هذا الفيديو وأنت هذا نوكل يبو محبنا أصلا أنا غرسنا حلوة في رقاية محاولة داخل السنة حلوة
So this video was cut from raw content, and the overall story was one of the most popular stories across all our members. It was used in press features. It was part of a fundraising appeal, as well as an education campaign. Even a book was made from it by one of our members. Now, coming back to our global digital asset management system. So it was launched at Save the Children in 2018 and is now known internally as Content Hub. The DAM brought together around 23,000 assets that were spread across 5 repositories, and they were brought all under one single DAM. Today, Content Hub is a key component to the organization's content strategy and now services a total of 58 countries, and still more are being onboarded since the launch. Our total users now are over 1,000, and our total assets, they're in the 100,000s. So what is Content Hub's value added? Well, as mentioned before, it is central to Save the Children's content strategy. It is our single source of truth. It allows us to streamline and increase our speed to market. And it also increases our opportunities of fundraising. It also allows us to move to more of a localization of content gathering and content production, We can really involve the countries who are who actually manage these programs to be involved in the whole content process. It also allows us to ensure a certain quality standard and of the content, and also make sure that it's on brand. And the DAM also allows us to make sure that we comply with global regulations, and that it also ensures the ethical treatment of the people we work with. So how is Content Hub delivering? Well, at Save the Children, the DAM and myself sit within the Global Creative Content team, whose remit is to create and disseminate content throughout the global organization. Content can then be easily shared and customized to suit local markets. And although, so for example, this comic in Nepali was part of a bigger package of engagement material that was created and shared widely to help explain coronavirus to children worldwide. Teams globally were able to repurpose this content, use it, and share it thanks to Content Hub. And although small, the global creative team has a huge impact because of DAM, but equally, DAM being embedded in the creative content team facilitates the collaboration worldwide and ensures maximum reuse, but also it allows me to maintain user engagement and also help global best practices. Now, imagine what it would have been like working at Save the Children without Content Hub. Who are the users of Content Hub? Well, as you know, nowadays, everyone needs content. And our users, our content is used by various departments across diverse markets and for a wide range of purposes. Sometimes content is used in ways we would have never expected. And these users could range from HR needing content to promote the work we do, or it could be fundraising and our advocacy teams. It could be programming. They need content for the programs they deliver. We also need a lot of content for our donor reports. And we also manage all of our brand assets within the DAM. We also have our digital teams and creative teams, as well as communications and media. But finally, we mustn't forget the many freelancers and agencies we work with throughout the organization and globally. So how do you manage such a varied array of users, and how do you make sure that we all comply? Well, this we do through our governance, and governance comes in many different types of governance. We have a governance around our metadata and our security functionalities and security systems. But most of all, what is really specific to Save the Children is our global image guidelines. As you know, we are dealing with people, both children and adults, and often in very sensitive geographic and political locations. And we must protect both children and adults. Adults include parents, carers, members of our and related organizations. Think Afghanistan, think Haiti. And so the global image guidelines underpin really how we make, gather, use, and manage our content. And these are mirrored within the DAM. And that includes our 5-year image retention policy, for example. This is based around the idea that a child's circumstances will change drastically within 5 years, and therefore we should not use their images beyond that time. We also are very strict around informed consent. We require consent forms for all images and videos of the people we work with, and these are managed within DAM. We also have a clear process in place in the event someone withdraws their consent. Related assets are promptly removed and users notified. And of course, we have our safeguarding policy applied throughout the content gathering and archiving and distribution. We have a vetting system which allows us to review assets before they are shared globally. And finally, we have our ethical practice standards, which we apply in all of our image processing, content management, and captioning. Different markets have different cultural sensitivities. So instead of imposing one way to the whole organization, The global image guidelines serve as guidelines and standards to comply for our different members to comply with, but allows for some flexibility to accommodate their own local markets. All of this is well and good, but there is definitely a need to evolve with the organization. And we have seen with the latest events that change is part of the process. Although the system was launched in 2018, there have been many things that have happened since, such as COVID-19, that has drastically impacted the ways of working. And since then, the organization has evolved and our workflows have evolved. In one way, COVID-19 drew in more users. They saw the crucial role DAM played. Without content, we cannot fundraise. However, change is accelerating, and the challenge now is to ensure the system remains relevant to the organization and its goals. Additionally, Save the Children is a federation of organizations. It's not a hierarchical one. Therefore, existing systems are different. The level of use and the way of using them is different, and that needs to be accounted for. So we know we need to review the system overall and our overall program and governance program for Content Hub. And this entails working closely with our stakeholders, the system vendors and end users. And the way we approach this is really with continued improvement in mind. And to be able to do this, we need to make sure that we're working with the people using the system. And that really is about identifying our key stakeholders, reviewing our user groups, and through that, really identifying our user needs and any bottlenecks that may be or any workarounds. And through these needs and requirements, we can develop ongoing training and really customize this and support the people using the system. And through this, we can also develop a communication plan to make sure that we communicate any changes made to the system and really involve people and empower them in using the system. And all of this, by really involving the people behind the system, we can really review the workflows and really prioritize what we need to really focus on in our program. And some of the challenges, for example, that we have within Save the Children are, you can imagine, language. Although the system's source language is English, many of our member countries have their own native languages. And then we also have a lot of users working in many different countries throughout the globe. And we try and kind of work around this by developing training in the language wherever possible. But we also have other challenges such as bandwidth, the internet bandwidth, and this really varies across the different places we work with, and we work in some of the most difficult places. So finally, our objectives. Well, this is clearly involving the people to make sure we get a bigger picture of where we are at and what's holding some people back, where there is resistance. And this will then really inform us in how we can improve our processes and really look into the systems that people are using and seeing if we can really improve our DAM, the user experience and the user interface. But there's also something that's become a real need is data. And we need to do all of this with impact. And the only way for us to do this is really by making sure we can improve our content analytics, our reporting tools, and really see how we can measure the impact we have across the organization and with these changes in mind. And finally, we want to look into integrations. How can we make workflows better by perhaps looking into integrations downstream or upstream? And these, again, will be prioritized dependent on people's needs and requirements and the priorities within the organization's goals. Finally, as you can see, having Content Hub within Save the Children has allowed us to really achieve much, but clearly there is still more to do. And really the DAM program remains at the heart of Save the Children's content and communication strategy. Now we really need to make sure that the people working for us really make it a success. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, Tom, can you hear me, Céline? Hello.
Yes.
That was marvelous. It's strange doing a presentation to so many people with such silence surrounded, but that was fantastic. I'm sure that I speak from everyone to say what an exciting and interesting work you're doing with Save the Children. I do have a question that just came in, and this is about the pictures of the children that you have. And the question is that they would be interested to know more about what happens to those images after 5 years. Do they all get deleted? Do you put them in an archival? What do you do with them?
We archive them. We don't delete them. We archive them for sure. Because obviously sometimes we want to, we do work a lot with follow-up stories. So what we do is sometimes some of our programs will go and revisit children we've helped in the past and see how they're doing to really measure the impact of the help Save the Children has done and the change and what the impact has had on those children. And so in those cases, the children will be revisited, and then we will have consent again on the use of those images, depending on the stories. And sometimes we have retrospective projects as well, in which case we need content previously that dates more than 5 years ago, and then we have to just take the follow clear processes before we can use those assets again.
Great. I have another question that's come in. In the creative content team, do you work in both the DAM and the CMS system, the content management system as well? Or is it just one solution that you have for the storytelling, the assets, everything?
So we have one solution, which is really for our creative content. So that's all to do with videos, images, and obviously some documents and written case studies. But we also have a resource space as well, a resource center for all of our reports, for example, if that answers the question. But we have one solution. So
the resources is in a separate system, but it's not in the DAM?
The reports, yeah, so the reports are not held in the DAM, they're held in the resource center. Yeah.
Okay, great. Have you been able to implement any AI solutions to help with the workflows?
So this is something that we're looking into, but obviously at the time when it was looked into, some of the, like, for example, the tagging, it wasn't that accurate. So, I mean, we are looking into simple automations on how we could improve it. It's something definitely that we're looking into revisiting and seeing how that could help.
Yes, I've worked with some image recognition, and it's optimistic, but it's not quite there yet. It's very, very simple. All right. Another question is, what has been the biggest advantage of the DAM? I could just name off 10, but for you, what is the biggest advantage of having the DAM for Save the Children?
Wow, that's a very, I mean, for me, it's really the content. I think most people on here will agree, the amount of content that is created daily, it allows you to really see what's coming in and manage it. I mean, the DAM, I don't know how we could function without a DAM.
Well, let me ask you this. How many countries does the DAM serve?
Well, currently 58, but it's growing. We're still onboarding countries as we speak. So it's huge.
Yeah, that's amazing. 58 and growing. Okay. And then I have another one. This is from Tom. He says, do you use the DAM to publish directly to social networks?
So again, this is one of the things we're looking into, because obviously at the moment, I think most will agree, we have the reporting tools of the DAM, but it's quite limited. And now there's really a huge demand on, knowing what happens to the content, where is it used, where is it, get a little bit more data on that. And yeah, we're definitely looking into seeing if that would make sense and how we would approach that, because again, we are it's a federation of organizations, therefore each one has separate markets, and how do you manage that at the level of integrations, and how would you deploy that? So that would be part of our, that we're looking into this and seeing how that would work, definitely.
Yeah, fascinating. What I think is particularly interesting about what you are doing there with Save the Children is most companies are using the dam for marketing and for helping sell products. And you're not selling products, you're selling stories. And then you're trying to get people to actually be involved in that story, where they're very far away, but yet the idea of getting books on the back of a camel to some remote place is a compelling one. So when you talk about analytics, you'll be looking at what campaigns, I guess, can raise the most money. Is that how you?
Well, I suppose at the moment there are a lot of questions on how you promote these stories and how do you depict them. And I guess there's a lot to be learned about what speaks to people, and what is actually having impact and what isn't. So, and that would really inform the way that we work with content, the way that we package our content, the way that our content creation would be far more informed if we had that information, if we knew that maybe having a positive twist meant that there's more views or people are engaging more with that content, then that will impact on what members will want. And then it means that we're producing content that is actually of use and relevant to the markets.
Wow. Well, thank you. I do have another question that's just come in. It says, what kind of challenges did you experience while working locally with difficult places in the world?
So I suppose the challenges are very much, so there's several, and I can mention two that really come across that we're really looking into. One is internet bandwidth. So we have this amazing tool that has amazing capabilities, but if people, some people, it takes days for them to upload content, or and that is a real, when the resources are really finite, and people don't have that time to spend, then we really need to look for solutions on how we can improve that. So we're looking into seeing if we can leverage AWS, Amazon Web Services, or looking into that. The other one is languages. Languages is when English is a second language to most, and to do your captioning or adding metadata in a language that's not necessarily your first language is a bit of a struggle. So that's something else that I'm looking into and seeing how can we provide a bit more support around that, and see how we can simplify things, create samples, and really make that process a little bit more easier on people, and translations, for example, looking into ways that we can help that.
So you don't do any localizations. It's mostly everything is in English.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay, I have another question, and this is the final one. Thank you all very much for your questions. As the system is shared and used globally, what is critical for user experience design, considering the different users' backgrounds?
That is such a good question. How do you make sure that you can't make everyone happy with one system? What you can do is make sure that you get feedback. And that's something that that's why the user engagement for me is really important. It's really identifying who are the biggest users of it, who spend their every day on the system, because they will have learned, there's things I can learn from them, and things that, I can also inform them of the system capabilities that could maybe help with certain issues. It's just telling people that the system is not just this, it can be more and it can be better, but people need to come up with their feedback. And so then it's prioritizing the issues. If it's something that will benefit the majority, then we go with it. And then it's about taking in the feedback and getting that feedback firstly, which is a challenge, but you can do that through champions, and also working very closely with your different countries, members, who will have those close relationships with their own teams. And if you can get those channels of communication, then you can really make more progress But if you just try and do it all yourself and just try and get that engagement, it will never work. But if you sort of devolve that and empower people with the system, and then they become the champions and sort of replicate and kind of help improve the system. And hope I've answered the question.
Yes, I think you certainly have. You know, when we talk about multicultural, a global country, and 58 countries, it's a big reach. But if you keep the UI and the UX fairly elegant,
Yes,
it seems
absolutely.
like that actually helps. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure that everyone here will be clapping and saying thank you, Céline, for a fantastic session. And I hope you come back to the DAM Fest again soon. So we're going to take a quick break here. Up next here on track 2 is transforming production with DAM and creative automation. Or you can go back to track 1 and join 10 of us in Your Assets Have a Story to Tell. Are you listening? So I'll see you again soon. Thanks again, Céline.
Thank you very much.